We are excited. Remember, this is Super Bowl Sunday. Not
Woohoo!
only Super Bowl Sunday, but this is the love weekend, Valentine weekend. We're excited to come to you at 5 p.m. today. And it's going to be quick, it's going to be powerful. We got a great special guest. Can't wait to bring him on. Hey, we're talking about relationship. And when you were talking about relationship, don't assume nothing. Just don't assume, okay? So we've got Shawana on this afternoon. We've
Hey,
got
everybody.
Terry on. And we've got Darius Carswell. We're excited. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, Let's Talk About is all about life experience. It's all about information. It's all about being supportive. It's all about giving you relevant information, educational, fun, exciting, family, culture, just a whole gamut of things that we talk about. So we're excited and we want you to share this. Go ahead on and share this with your friends. And you can join us in the comments and chat with us today. Who's your favorite team? What team are you rooting for? My team? I'm sorry, LA Rams. Sorry, I got it. So, but we just excited today. And so we're going to get started. We got some hot topics and some things. Don't forget, this is Heart Health Month. Don't forget, this is Black History Month as well. So we'll give you a little bit of that, a little bit of this, and a little bit of that. So keep it here, share it with your friends, and don't forget, this is one great weekend that you want to remember. Thank you so
Let's
very
go.
much. Hey, let's get started. All right. So, Shawana, what you got?
Actually, it's Terry. Terry's the one that's got us on Black
What you
History.
got? Black history. You got it. Are you on mute?
Sorry. For my Black history, I have my first person is I bet you didn't know this. Did you know that ranch dressing, a popular condiment, was invented by a black Nebraska cowboy, Steve Henson? He named
Cowboy.
his company after his ranch, Hidden Valley. Mr. Henson sold his company to Clorox in 1972.
Hidden
So, Hidden
Valley?
Valley Ranch.
No, I didn't know that. Ranch
Did not.
Yes.
dressing. Wow.
And my second one is Ruth Carroll Taylor became the first Black American airline flight attendant in the United States when she joined Mohawk Airlines in 1958. So there you
Wow. That
go.
was good. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
Great in history, but Hidden Valley?
Hidden Valley Ranch. Never
Wow.
knew that.
Awesome. Okay. Any updates?
Well, we always do like a COVID update. And one of the things that took place this week was some research that came out on women over in Europe. They're
Hmm.
researching, they're looking at the numbers, but women are having issues with their menses, with their cycles, and they're
Hmm.
associating it with the COVID vaccines, the Moderna as well as the Pfizer vaccines. Kind of interesting. So they're doing, looking at the databases and really just trying to understand what's going on there. But it seems to
Hmm.
be a hot topic that's brewing right now. So just wanted to give
Right.
you guys that since we are still in the midst of COVID, still have, things that are going on there, still learning a lot with all the people that are on the products. But just
Yeah.
wanted to share that bit of data.
Also, with that, they did not pass or um, for the children 5 and under to get the COVID, it failed. So right now, they still working on that, and
Oh,
that was this
wow.
week as well.
And that's a big
Very
deal.
interesting. Very interesting.
Hmm.
I
Well,
think to me, it's still a lot of questions. I can understand why not,
Right.
and I would probably, if I had a young one, I would probably be one of those parents that's still questioning that. In
Hmm.
the adults, absolutely. In the babies, it's still, I don't know,
Hmm.
still curious about that one. But anyway,
Hmm.
what are we here for today? We have a,
we're here, but
Yeah.
don't forget, it is Heart Health Month, and don't
Heart
forget, it
Health
is.
Month. That's
So
right.
just a little tidbit, but one of the interesting things that a lot of young people being diagnosed with um, high blood pressure. So for anyone that's have high blood pressure, please don't miss your dosage, please. Okay, people are just missing, but it's important that you take your medication if you have high blood pressure or any of that, because it does contribute to a lot of things too.
And
So think about your heart. If you think about your heart, that's thinking about your health. All right.
and
Right.
So,
what do you do for blood pressure? You lose 10% of your body weight. You
okay.
lower your sodium intake. Those are
Yeah.
like quick things that you can work to help reduce high blood pressure. So
Exercise.
Exercise what I need to do.
Exercise, get that heart rate going, which I need to
Right.
do. That is really, really, powerful. So we do know that, during COVID, a lot of people did not,
them
was
COVID
just kind of,
pounds, them COVID
yeah,
pounds. How
yeah,
many of
the
y'all can
COVID
relate
rate.
to those COVID pounds? Good grief.
Exactly. All right. So we're
Let's
moving
go.
right
Let's
along.
go. Let's
So,
go.
this is fast, quick, because we got the game coming up. Rams gonna do it. We've got someone that I know, an awesome young man who loves people. I'll just put it that way. But not only that, someone that I met many, many years ago who's doing the work in the community, who is concerned about people, who's concerned about our youth, concerned about, just in general, but in particular our youth. And so he's, a lot of work that he has done, I would say, throughout the state of Georgia. And one of the great things that I love about it, he is a federal, I would say he's a FQHC, Federal Qualified Health Center. That's where he works. And he is a transitional care manager, which is awesome, which of two local hospitals. And not only that, he is married 15 years. He does
Ooh,
have two college students. And also, he has two younger children as well. Well, the youngest is 2 years old. I put it that way. Didn't want to say
oh
a
my
whole lot
God.
about it, but one of the things that I love about it is that he's a retired he retired from high competitive softball. He retired from high competitive softball with world championships. I remember when he used to run up and down the road and fly all over
Mhm.
the place, which is really
Wow.
awesome. But more importantly,
Wow.
he is a young man that loved God. But one of the great things that I love that he's doing a podcast with a group of young people, and he'll talk a little bit about that. And it's all about relationships. And we thought this would be a great topic. And what intrigued me when he was telling me about it, I was like, wait, we need to get you on because we're
Mhm.
coming up with Valentine's. So it's a great time to really talk about relationships and how we see relationships in the 21st century. So, without any further, I would like to introduce you to our great speaker, Darius Carswell. All right, let's give it up for Darius.
Sure,
All
Let's
right,
sure.
go,
like
Darius.
y'all
Bring it.
already my
Bring
name.
it.
Let's
So, I
go.
want you to just, jump right in. You can talk a little bit about yourself. I know you don't like to do that because you're just so modest. But at least some of the work just briefly, some of the work that you've done, and then some of the work that you are doing now, and then a little bit about that podcast. But the question is, mm, today, relationships, don't assume. And then I'll jump in and ask some questions. Go,
Okay.
Darius.
Well, with the topic of not assuming when you're going into a relationship, my real passion, especially talking to couples, is t- trying to help people take away the preconceived notions of what they're going to get into before they get there.
Mm.
I know females want to know, and they ask a lot of times, what do men look for? And
Mm,
a lot of times it's we don't know what we're looking for because a lot of us as men, a lot of times we live in the moment. But to the podcast, I was brought into it um, by a cousin. Her name is Trina the Doll. You can Google her if you need to. And we've now partnered with and linked with Eric Holmes, which is it's his baby, it's his idea. The podcast title is Cigar Stem, The first one that we shot, I think it premieres. If I'm not wrong, I think it premieres tomorrow on his YouTube channel, Inspired. Um,
Okay.
and you can just look up Eric Holmes and that venture. So if you want any more information, but the not assuming topic, we spoke before. I think we spoke on Friday about some of the things that those things entail. And it's
Mm.
been interesting because even with myself, I'm a married man, and I've had people assume of what my wife would present like, or I've even had people, even Terry herself, ask, or let me just ask, are you married to a sister? Is and I mean, because you really you don't know, so it was a plus in her cap because she at least asked versus assuming and making a designation of who
Yeah.
I was based on a small snippet of information. So
Yeah.
how does that look in the dating world? I mean, I haven't had to date in a very long time, and I would imagine that for a lot of people, women and men, that is scary. It's a there's some protectionism that comes with being not allowing yourself to be vulnerable. And some of those vulnerabilities that we take away, it disallows for an honest relationship with one another because you can't even be honest with yourself. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, it's
But
this is gonna be my passion.
well, quick thing though, because you're talking about vulnerabilities, a lot of people nowadays are swiping left and swiping right. They're on these apps. So, what are your thoughts about that? Because how do you really be vulnerable and even truthful in you're on an app, a dating app?
You're gonna get me into a whole different discussion about our flesh. And we're gonna go down the
Hey.
book when it comes down because that dealing with your flesh, that's a tough. I'm gonna tell you something. Like
Uh-oh.
on the real of it, I deleted my Instagram maybe about a month ago now. You know,
Why
and
did you do that?
it wasn't a good place. It was not a good place for a married man. I mean, of course, anything that you
True.
use can be used any way you see fit, and you can
Right.
monitor yourselves. But it was too much for me. But I'm honest with myself about that. Some people want that. They want to see something different, someone different. I don't. I don't want to wake up in the morning and I'm checking the news feed, then I'm checking my Instagram to see who posted a new picture
Oh,
and what they might be wearing.
whoa.
Right.
So, and
Mhm.
Ah,
it's just not something that was for me. Now, others, you deal with what you can. I can't. I don't want to have to deal with that.
wow.
Okay.
So
Okay.
my
Makes
my
sense.
Terry, you
I
got
said it
something?
makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a question. So I have this question that what is it that he wants? And then this is something I always know. Beauty is only skin deep. So do you think in this space that we're living in, what do you think that women think that men want?
Well, first of all, ladies, the ladies that are watching, sitting around and talking to men. I'm talking about real down to earth men. Um, the hair, the lashes, the makeup. It looks nice on you. It looks really nice, and we do applaud the effort. But it's not as high as you might think. And for some men, it may be high up. And it's
Mhm.
one of those things that we always talk about cultural differences. I'm from
Mm,
South Georgia. I'm from a small town. I grew up with, you know, all sisters. I have all daughters, four daughters, and the ladies in my family, their hair for the most part is natural. Even those that are not natural is simply kept. Um, so my idea of beauty is something that is a lot more simple than what others might like. So, but you don't have to beat yourself down and run to the salon every chance you get, or run to get your lashes done every chance you get. Now, if he says that, hey, why don't you step it up? I'm not saying run around with your hair wrapped all day long and you want to put on nice. My wife, every now and again, she'll just walk through and she'll put on something different. But it's also for me to give that positive reinforcement and say, hey, I see you. So yeah, their beauty is skin deep, but we want to know if you can cook.
uh-uh.
Oh
We
yeah.
just like real life, we do.
Want to know
I
if
mean,
you can clean up.
right?
um,
Yeah,
yeah.
we want to know real things because at the end of the day, you're gonna help raise my child or my children. We're gonna have to live in this space together, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody wants.
But
and
what about
nastiness. And
Some women could do all of that though.
yeah,
They're not necessarily looking nice for their
mm,
spouse. They're looking nice because they choose to.
they
And they
choose to.
Right.
want to put on
yeah,
makeup. They want
yeah,
to, doll themselves up. And they also
And
can
that's
cook,
good.
they can clean, they can get out there and hustle, do whatever they need to do. They're educated, whatever. So I think it could go both ways.
it
To
can.
your
But you know
point,
what?
everyone has their preferences.
But I
Right.
love the
Right.
fact that when we get back to just, for women beating themselves up, don't just assume. Get to know someone, that's
Right.
their
Right,
inner person, their inner
Right.
person. Because I
Right.
think that, it's the inner person and the inner heart and strength that you want to draw from. Yes, look your best, you know,
Yeah.
that's great. But all the emphasis should not be there. The emphasis should be
right.
on your inner person, being
Right.
strengthened there, knowing who you are and what you can do. And I think that's where I am. I
Right.
also have, I think, another question. I
Well,
think
before
it's,
you ask that question, Mom, to go back to, to continue with what you were
yeah.
just saying, I think when we were either on with Darius or when we got off with him the other night, one of the things we chatted about was it was when he was on he we got off. We were like, when all of the beauty fades, who
Mm,
is the person in love with? You know, do they love
Right.
your mind? Do they love that spirit? Do they love your heart? Because to Dara's point, you can have all that beauty, but you are a wicked witch of the West. You have heart issues, you got stuff going
Yeah.
on, you
Right.
know. But the thing is, when all of that is gone, who are you really? And
Yeah.
that is the person that the man will fall in love with, or the woman will fall in love with. So that's just a few thoughts that I think we came up
mhm.
Right.
And the guys, we talk about it. We really do. We talk about how women are with their families. Whether they're contentious or abrasive. I mean, we understand that you're business owners, you're masters of industry, and we applaud that. But at the same time, I think Shawana, we kind of start talking about just you have to know when to pull back and allow me to be a man. Now, some things I'm going to
Right.
step
Mm.
forward and I'm going to
That's
be.
that is that
Am I
a
jumping?
social, that social aggressive?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, yes, yes. And we don't mind. We actually relish the opportunity to be your protectors. Um, and I don't want to be in a situation to where something happens and I'm looking to my wife as to say, "Hey, how are we going to get out of this?" Of
Right.
course, I know she could possibly handle it if I were not there, but if I am there, and we men have to do a better job in making you all feel safe. I
But
will say
young
that.
ladies, well, now it's not in a space where we're 21st century. We're in
Mhm.
this uh, Gen Z and millennial and all of this.
Hmm.
You're talking from a space of, uh, I'm not sure which category you fall in, but but we're talking about young people. So now it's like, hey, we don't have to get married. Let's just, hey, be
Right.
friends and,
Yeah.
we'll make it work or whatever. Well, how do you speak to that?
And the young people that I speak to are my own children. We have one that's 25 and the other one is 23. The next to that one is 16. So, like I said, I have all girls, and I'm honest with my children about where they are or where they may be. If they bring it up, it's not too often that they bring it up, but when it does come up, hopefully, Miss Alice and anyone watching that the mold was set by my wife and I. That's pretty much the best that you can do and hope for, especially with young people in your lives. If you want them to model dating practices that are healthy, you have to be honest with them about some of the things that you went through. You don't have to tell them everything. I don't think I
Everything.
don't I never
Hmm.
but you can be honest about the situation and hey, this is kind of what went on and this is where it led me versus just letting them figure out on their own because as parents go, you don't want to teach your child something and they come back to you and they're broken. They're broken.
Right.
Or to not have introduced or taught and they come back broken because then you're picking up the pieces and you're helping them start from a darker place.
And so you're sharing with them from a space of the both of you came, just like a lot of people come to a
Mhm.
relationship with children, with a child. And so the both of you came with a child, right?
Yes, we're blended. We're blended family.
Blended family.
Yes.
But and wow, yeah. And that's real because you've got a lot of young ladies who want to be married and they have, a child or maybe, two, they want to be married. And I hear young people saying, well, you can't really find anyone now, you because you don't know what they're coming with. And I just say that, prayer, and then
Mhm.
do your due diligence in terms of really knowing who that person is, getting to really know that person. Another question that I had, you said texting is an extreme. What does that mean?
Ooh, ooh, my young people. Oh, my young people. Um, the things that you hear or see, or if any of you been in contact with anyone under the age of 20, if you were to get their phone, they probably not going to give you their phone readily. But if they felt safe enough, if you were to look at their
That's
phone
true.
and some of the messages that they get, male and female,
Right.
it's certain things that you probably would not say face to face, but you feel safe enough to get away with in a text message. And I think it's taking communication to a whole different level. As far as we're getting more extreme cases of sexting in our young people, even in our schools.
Wow.
And
Hmm.
how do you get them to turn it off when your child has had a phone since age 11, 12? Not knocking anyone,
Wow, that's an
but
addiction.
but
That's an addiction.
and it can develop because they're going to spend a lot of time with that phone.
Yeah.
They're
Right.
going to figure out how to hide things from you, which is, I understand privacy and that is your own bag, but talking about those modeling practices for dating is sometimes it's Pandora's box. I really
Yeah.
do. I really believe,
How
and
old
it's
is your
too
youngest
for our
child?
young people. My youngest is 13, so she's
13. Now that
she's
is a
right at that
wild
age.
age.
Yeah,
That's a teenager.
I know she'll be 14 in March,
So the
but
reason I asked that is because when we're talking about, texting and even taking it to that level, we're talking about relationships. We're talking about don't
mhm,
assume. For women, we don't have to assume this is who this person is. Don't
Right.
assume. Same way it is with men. He don't have to, he needs to get to know and not just assume just because, I dressed a certain way. Don't just assume
right,
that I
Right.
don't have a relationship with God. Don't get it twisted.
yes,
But
Right.
I'm just
right,
saying, these
right,
assumptions that people make, and they have this, they assume that this is what a man wants, and then they try to, try to. I don't want to fit into a mold, and I'm old, but anyway, but you don't want to fit into a mold that this is what a man wants. So I got to be all of that, and I come out of who I am to try to fit into what I think he's assuming I should be.
right.
Does that
And
make
one of the
sense?
Yeah, and one of the topics I mean, anyone that checks in or watches the podcast from Inspired that we have coming up, we actually address some of those things within young people. And these are people who are in this circle that, that do date, and some are single. So they give a great perspective on being in that environment that I probably couldn't touch because I've been married 15 years. I can tell you what I've done or what I've been
Yeah.
able to do. And we, hadn't been a perfect marriage. I'm not a perfect person and we don't assume to be, but we're real with one another enough to where when I'm deficient in an area, she can actually sit me down and tell me.
Yeah.
Now those assumptions that people come to the table with, even to this day, Miss Alice, I'm married and I still get the assumptions of certain things. I mean,
Okay.
I live in Warner Robins, Georgia. If I walk outside and I cut my grass, someone stops by. Oh, are you military? You
Right,
must
because
be
that's a military
military.
town.
But I carry myself a certain way. It's not that I'm Southern. I'm from
So it's the way
Gordon in
you carry
Irvington,
yourself.
Georgia. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And it's just it comes back to how you're raised, and when you're dating, you have to figure that out as well. I
Now
mean, of
I
course,
see
the
that, and
attraction is
I
physical.
remember. Yeah,
I'm
excuse
Go
sorry.
me, but
ahead.
I remember you were young and I'll come into a room, come in to do a training, just. But I saw how young ladies would, of course, but you was always in a certain posture, and you never, they couldn't get to that point where they wanted to try to make a play because of the way you carried yourself. And I just think that was real powerful for me. All
Well, thank
right, we're coming close to a wrap up. What do we got?
So, Darius, you were saying you were about to say, attraction is one of those things, for men, your first visual,
Mhm.
many of you. So what are those other assumptions, that people can have about how a man, say, would approach a woman?
I mean, and a lot of times I've heard some females make or kind of gesture towards taking themselves out of the play because they are assuming that he's not going to like me because I don't have a Coke bottle shape or Coke bottle frame.
Oh,
Or,
okay.
they just, I mean, you don't have to do that because you don't know. You just need to be present. And he'll tell you whether or not, and he'll announce to you whether or not if he's attracted enough. And you don't have to
Mhm.
assume that every man is attracted to every single woman. We are not. We are not built that way. We also have cultural things that we look for. I wanted someone that had a big family. I got that. Check that box. That was like the biggest thing out of everything because I have a close family. We sat around a fire last night, talked for hours, and laughed for hours. And it's important. It was important for me to have that, but you cannot assume when you walk into a situation that you're going to be everything that he wants or either none of what he wants. Sometimes
Right.
you just have to be some of both, and it's okay.
Mm,
Right. And
that's
as
good.
you grow together.
That's
Uh,
right. That's right.
Right.
So good.
Right.
Wow, that's powerful. Terry, did you have any questions for him?
I did, but he answered them all.
Did he? Oh,
Well,
wow.
sorry.
Some of them were similar to the questions that you had.
Wow.
Hmm.
That's really powerful. I think this conversation can really go on. And I know that we have some young ladies. I know particularly one young lady would love to come on and even just share that experience about relationships and what it looks like and what, assumptions have been made as it relates to her. And I just think that this is really great. And this is a conversation that could continue to go on. I really want to thank you for coming on, just sharing. Is there any last words or anything that
I
you
mean,
would
I
like
just
to
want
leave?
anyone that watches this, please understand, I'm not a foremost expert. I'm not always right, and I do understand there are other ways to approach all of this. But let's have a healthy dialogue by doing that because we're going to help someone else who's out here in this dating world that can't find their way.
Right.
Um,
Hmm.
and they do need that push or that help, that word of advice, or even just encouragement, because sometimes we're
Hmm.
harder on ourselves than the other sex is on us.
that's a good point.
That's a
Right.
good
Really
point.
good. I
Wow.
think it's hard nowadays, just dating in general. I mean, thank God I've been off the scene for God knows how many years. But I just think that people need, to your point, to talk more, to encourage each other, to build each
Yeah.
other up, because social media tears people down.
Hmm.
Like you said, the assumptions of this, I need to put my filters on just so that I can look a certain way.
Right.
I think it's harder on people nowadays dating. So this has been
Yeah.
really good, Darius. Thank you so
Well, thank
This
much.
has
you.
been really good.
Thank you.
Any
Thank you.
last words? Terry, did you have any comments? Any last words?
No, not really. Just was a good conversation, not long enough.
Not
Right.
long enough. Did you hear that there? It's
I
not
did.
long
Thank you,
enough,
Terry.
which means that possibly we could bring you back at some point. We know that relationship was one of our big topics that people really, really want to talk about. And
Hmm.
I'm sure we'll be ongoing with this. But thank you so very much for sharing your heart and sharing those things that, experiences, and then helping us to understand, particularly to understand that we just don't need to assume. We cannot
Yeah.
assume what someone else wants, and
No,
then
you
we ourselves, we do make assumptions, and so we don't want to, make assumptions. So, with that being said, this has been Let's Talk About It with Alice. But before we go, the game. Which
Yeah.
is this? Which is this? So, what? Who are you going for? Who are you going for, Darius? Who you
I'm
got?
sorry, Miss Ellis. I'm a baseball guy, so it's all Yankees. I don't do the other sports, but I will be watching. I will be eating as if
Of
I'm
course you
into the
will.
game. But
That's
yeah,
right.
I'll be into the game, but I don't have a dog in
Have a
this fight. I'm
preference.
sorry.
What about you, Terry? Who you got?
Well, you already see what I got on to see the color.
All right, Shawana, where you are?
I am going for probably LA, but for me, I really don't
Like,
care who wins. I just want a
I
good
don't either.
game, just a good
well,
game. I want it to be
we
a battle today.
we thought we was going to get someone broadcasting live from LA, Ian Clark,
Yes,
but
Ian
he
is
Yeah.
out
wasn't
there.
able to do it. But hey, I know you're
Ian
going to
Clark is
enjoy the
out there.
game. So this has been Let's Talk About It with Alice, with Darius Carswell as our guest today, and we're so excited that he was able to come on. Also with Shawana and Terry, and we just want to say, take care of yourself, take care of your heart, and love somebody. This is the time that we need to spread the love
The
in
love.
every
Right.
way. So we say
Yes.
love.
Peace
And
and
increase.
increase.
Well, y'all didn't say
Happy
that like I'm
Valentine's Day, guys.
excited. All right, love, peace, and
Peace
increase.
and
And
Increase.
you
increase.
are increase. Thank you so very much. Well, let's
Enjoy
talk
your
about it with
Valentine's
Alice.
Day.
Take care.
Love y'all.
Goodbye.